Greetings, hello, and I'm here again to talk to you for 5 minutes about all things to do with lighting. As always, please give us your comments and feedback by commenting here below and share widely as you can. We'd like to share knowledge and we'd like to start discussions, and we want to have a conversation about these things. So if you are able to, please give us a minute of your time to feedback and comment. So today I am going to talk to you about a question which sometimes gets raised and asked on our website, which is, can you reuse existing masts when you're retrofitting an old LED or an old metal halide, or in fact any kind of HID system with a new LED fixture? Well, the quick and short answer is yes, you can, but there are nuances, and this is something that we have to consider. Now, whenever we are reusing an old mast, quite often these are very old, 20, 30, sometimes even older. And so the first thing we need to ensure is that they are integrally sound, that they are structurally safe. So often times you would need to employ a structural engineer, somebody who can come in, look at them, make an analysis, do something called NDT, non-destructive testing. Sometimes that involves ultrasound, sometimes other tools. And they will be able to generate a report and tell you whether this mast is safe, or perhaps there are issues with it. And these issues could be some things like rust or thinning. There could be problems with the anchor bolts. There could be problems with the foundation itself, cracks in the foundation. So all of these things need to be taken into consideration. Now, when we are safe and pass through at this point, we then need to think about, in fact, the retrofit itself. If you are increasing the light levels because of regulation, or because of new requirements, or because simply you want to improve operationally the amount of light that you have in your target area, then you have to consider whether there is an increase in weight on the existing system. An increase in weight or an increase in windage, i.e. that is the surface area of the luminaires exposed to the wind, that's a no-no. So you don't want to have anything that increases the weight or increases the surface area of the luminaires. Why? Because the original structural calculations, not just for the mast but also the foundation, were designed according to a certain wind load and a certain weight. So you need to consider those and ensure those are lower. So actually the advantage is, an advantage goes to those manufacturers that are manufacturing compact and small surface area products. These are the best ones to retrofit. If you have a large product that may have certain benefits to it, but it could negate the ability to actually retrofit on existing masts. When you think about the electrical system, so do we need to completely rewire it? Do we need to use the existing electrical systems? Do we have to have a new area to store drivers if you want to remove them from the top to the bottom, if they're not integrated into the product? Does that mean that you need a new feeder pillar? Where does that feeder pillar, that electrical box, where does that go, that cabinet? So think about that. Also think about how many connection points you have on a mast, and actually think about how many of those connection points are reusable. Because we have encountered issues before where on the crown of, say, 8 connection points, some of them will have completely different connections. Some will have an I-ring, some will have a double, and some might just be a flat pipe. So you need to think about what kind of bracketry or adapters your luminaire, which you're choosing to install, will need to be able to fit on all of those. And actually, if you have different connectors on different arms, as it were, of the crown, think about, do you then have a safe method to ensure that you have structural integrity on all? Sometimes, in certain cases, it may make sense to completely remove the crown or the crossbar and reinstall another one on top of the existing mast. That is something that sometimes is required. So yes, by all means, retrofitting is an option, but think about whether we can reuse the existing crossarm or the crown, whether the weight and windage is lower than the original specification, whether the mast itself is structurally sound and can be reused going forward. And once you check those things, then ultimately you probably have a green light, but always talk to an expert before you make your decision. Have a great day.